Welcome back to TNLP, the newsletter podcast brought to you by the Hazmat Guys. We took last week off due to the bustle of the southernmost hazmat conference, but we're back in the studio and ready to hit the ground running. Special thanks to those who made it down to the unseasonably chilly Keys to make the first ever southernmost hazmat conference a success. We couldn't have done it without you. And we're already scheming for what's in store for 2027. Make sure you're on the mailing list to get the latest on all future conference updates now at thehazmatguys.com/conference. Jumping right into this week's top hazmat stories, we have breaking news out of the Joplin, Missouri area, where 10 firefighters were sent to the hospital Friday as a precaution after chemical exposure while fighting a fire on Black Cat Road west of Joplin. Carl Junction Fire Chief Joe Perkins said the firefighters were exposed to a caustic liquid in the burning building that was melting parts of their boots. It caused some skin irritation and discomfort, so just as a precaution, we sent them to the hospital to be decontaminated, Perkins said. We sent 5 firefighters from Carl Junction and 5 from Joplin. Perkins said the alarm came at 11:54 a.m. Friday, alerting them to a fire at Black Cat Trucking, 300 and Black Cat Road, just west of the Joplin Athletic Complex, near Schiffer-Decker Park. The initial dispatch was for heavy fire and smoke showing out of one of the industrial buildings out here, Perkins said. Upon arrival, we had heavy smoke and fire. This plant has a lot of toxic chemicals in it, and the part that was burning only had one chemical. The fire was infringing on another building that had some very, very bad stuff in it. The guys were able to get in, get it knocked down, and then they were able to pull back. It probably took them about an hour and 10 minutes, and they had pretty good control over the fire. Officials did not provide any specifics on the chemicals. In addition to Carl Junction and Joplin, Galena, Kansas, firefighters also responded. Perkins said the Missouri Department of Natural Resources is on the scene helping firefighters contain runoff from the water they're using to fight the fire and prevent it from spreading toxic chemicals around the area. He said a Missouri State Fire Marshal's investigator also was on the way to help determine a cause of the fire, and a private hazmat company is helping to monitor the air. Air quality hasn't been the main problem, mainly because we were able to get the fire knocked down. Perkins said, if we didn't stop that fire where it was, and it made it to the next building, we would have probably had to have called for evacuation orders and things like that. But through a Herculean effort, these guys managed to stop this fire and keep it out of this other building, where a lot of the really hazardous materials are stored. The cause of the fire is under investigation. We certainly wish those affected a speedy recovery. Heading east, a soap mix-up at a Massachusetts daycare sent 11 children to local hospitals. A group of children was taken to the hospital from a daycare facility in Wellesley, Massachusetts, on Friday as a hazardous materials call situation was declared. Despite the large scene, the children are expected to be okay, having developed minor rashes from what officials described as a mix-up involving soap. The call came in shortly after 11 a.m. Friday for a hazmat situation at 60 William Street, the address of Bright Horizons Daycare. Wellesley police said in a post on X around 12:45 p.m. that several children were inadvertently exposed to a commercial-grade dish cleaner. They said the children were being evaluated by EMS and fire department personnel, and some had already been taken to area hospitals. The fire department said they received a call around 11:15 a.m. for a child with some kind of rash, with several other children experiencing similar issues. They said about 12 of the 40 children at the daycare, ranging in age from 1 to 5 years old, were affected by some sort of irritant, and 11 were hospitalized. Investigators found the rashes were caused after the children washed their hands with commercial-grade dishwashing soap instead of mild or hand soap. It remained unclear Friday afternoon what caused the mix-up, but the children seemed to handle the situation, according to Wellesley Fire Chief Steve Mortarelli. They thought seeing the fire trucks was pretty cool, he said. Some were maybe a bit uncomfortable. I think some were scared, and some were just playing it cool. Photos from the scene showed an ambulance and several police and fire vehicles outside the building, and aerial images showed numerous ambulances in the parking lot. The state fire marshal's office said state hazmat technicians responded to the scene to assist the Wellesley Fire Department. Bright Horizons said in an email on Friday afternoon that they were still trying to learn more about what happened at their Wellesley Center, but both children and staff presented with redness on their hands, and staff took immediate action and called emergency services. The children and staff received medical attention on site, and some have been transported to local hospitals for further evaluation. We are working with our janitorial vendor to understand if they may have used the wrong product in the hand washing centers, the statement said. We remain in close communication with families at the center while we try to determine a cause for what happened. We are grateful for the quick response by the emergency responders. The safety and well being of the children in our care remain our highest priority. Rounding out this week's report, we conclude in Jackson, Tennessee, where hazardous materials in the hub city led to multiple injuries and a significant emergency response scene. What started as a medical call quickly turned into a dangerous hazmat emergency, sending first responders and residents to the hospital. At approximately 5:40 Wednesday evening, Jackson Fire Department units and Medical Center EMS were dispatched to 88 Holland Avenue for a report of an unresponsive patient. Once they got on scene, they got to the patient, started treatment, and very quickly realized that there was a chemical odor in the air, said Melissa Nelson, community risk reduction specialist with the Jackson Fire Department. First responders quickly conducted an emergency evacuation, removing both the patient and themselves from the dangerous situation. Fire Marshal Latrell Billingsley shares more on the cause of the chemical reaction. The individuals were encountering, I think they had some plumbing issues or piping issues, a clog in their toilet, and they attempted to get the clog out using some commercial-grade pipe cleaners or clog removers, said Billingsley. Afterwards, one of the residents used bleach in the same area, which triggered the release of toxic gases into the atmosphere. Once outside the home, several first responders began experiencing symptoms of chemical exposure. Once they realized that it was a hazmat situation, they called for one of our ladder trucks, our hazmat team, and the battalion chief, said Nelson. A large emergency presence could be seen Wednesday night. According to a press release, JFD confirms 12 people were transported to the Jackson-Madison County General Hospital for treatment. This includes 5 firefighters, 1 fire medic, 4 EMS paramedics, and 2 residents of the home. All individuals who were transported to the hospital have been released and are expected to make a full recovery, said Billingsley. The unresponsive patient was pronounced dead. Officials urged the public of the extreme dangers of mixing household cleaning products. JFD informs residents that combining bleach with acid-based drain cleaners or ammonia can create highly toxic gases, which can be fatal. Always follow manufacturer instructions and never use multiple chemical products in a single drain. The hazmat guys cover these response scenarios in their chemical suicide course. Same response tactics, even if it wasn't intentional. Check it out at thehazmatguys.com/training. That's going to do it for this week's Hazmat News. We'll see you next week. Timmy, over and out.